Hey everyone, it's Jack from WhatCulture.com, and that sound you just heard there was Adam Blompier closing the door. I'm filming this one without an editor. There's no one else in the room. There's no one else here. This is terrifying. I can't rely on lazy jokes like, what was that? What? And then a cutaway. I can't do that. I'm fucked. Without any further ado, this is all the news from elsewhere. No, not from elsewhere. This is all the news from around the world of wrestling, WWE, non-WWE, and takeaways as well. Let's get on with the bloody fast count. Yes, first of all, as I say, let's start off with all of this week's WWE news. Finn Balor is back. He returned at an NXT house show helping fend off Bobby Roode during an attack on Shinsuke Nakamura, and most excitingly of all, he hit some wrestling moves. He hit a sling blade, and he hit a big jumping forward drop kick, like, ooh, golly, into the corner. It's good to see Balor back. He looked sprightly, he looked fit, he had about 37 abs on his body. He looked great. It's very, very encouraging, and apparently, according to Dave Meltzer, he has been advertised for house shows in March. And according to Meltzer as well, he was always scheduled for WrestleMania. That was never really in question, unlike Rollins' status has been over the past few months. Balor will apparently be involved in WrestleMania, but we're not sure quite how as of yet. Meltzer actually rang me up and told me this. He gave me a phone call. He was like, Jack, yeah mate, yeah. And then I was like, yo, what's going on, Dave? Can you just stop? Like, yes, you can have my autograph if you want. Yeah, I know that super kick that Ospreay gave me was really dramatic and good. I know it was the best wrestling you've seen in ages. Five, if you want to give it 5. Next up, and you'll probably know this news already, but it did happen this week, and it's too big not to mention. The Rock appeared after Monday Night Raw. He was there filming scenes for that movie that he's involved in that I reported on, The Fighting With My Family, the sort of biopic of Paige and the Knight family. And he came out to entertain the crowd after Monday Night Raw, and guess what he did? Well, you'll know what he did probably. He gave CM Punk a phone call and left a voicemail. Punk didn't answer the phone. He explained on Twitter that he was busy walking his dog Larry, and he was really committed to that because it was Larry's birthday. This is genuinely the exchange that happened on Twitter. It has since been reported that Vince McMahon and Triple H certainly weren't too pleased with The Rock, especially Triple H. You know, there's been all these stories that Triple H and CM Punk really did dislike each other, and that Vince kind of, although he didn't personally get on too well with Punk, he always, respected him for drawing money and being the right thing to do for business at the time and all that sort of stuff. But Triple H and Punk, just two people who just didn't get on at all. I think the big story from this is that The Rock doesn't give a shit and he can just do what he wants. What a hero. And finally, Cassius Ohno has made his long-awaited re-debut, I guess I should say, last Wednesday on NXT. Cassius Ohno, also known as Indie Darling, long-term Indie Darling, Chris Hero, has just got such a list of accolades. If you don't know, he was the former PWG champion, he's a former Evolve champion, he used to be CM Punk's tag partner on the Indies, he used to have a great tag team with Cesaro on the Indies called the Kings of Wrestling, and they were really, really good. Check out some of his stuff if you haven't already. He's had great matches with Zack Sabre Jr., he's had great matches with Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson as he was then known. A very, very talented guy and a staple of the indie scene for, over a decade now. It'll be really good to see him back in NXT, see what he can do. It looks like he's been put straight into a title feud with Bobby Roode, so that should be very interesting. Two guys who, while being kind of non-WWE favourites a few years ago, can certainly put on a WWE style match. Excuse me, just realised there when I was reading my list of notes, Chris Hero, Cassius Ohno, also one of the men who trained Lince Dorado, so I think we know what kind of fucking business we're dealing with here, guys. Don't mess with him. Don't mess with Lince. And just the very mention of my boy Lince Dorado has got me so hyped up, and you know what else has got me doubly hyped up? It's time to look at all the wacky news from elsewhere in the world of wrestling. It's crazy. I wish there was another person in the room. I don't like doing this without an editor. I think I'm going a bit crazy. There has been a major heel turn over in Impact Wrestling, and it's maybe the nicest man I've ever met in wrestling, maybe the nicest man I've ever met in my life, Cody Rhodes, and the most handsome as well. The most handsome too. Anyway, Cody turned heel on Moose, and it's very reminiscent of the old Mega Powers Explode angle back in the golden era where Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage fell apart. Macho Man turned on Hogan because he felt that Hogan was moving in on his girl, you know what I'm saying? Like he was sliding into her DMs and all the rest of it. Cody thinks that Moose has been sliding into Brandy Rhodes' DMs, or more accurately, phoning her up. Not that he is, phoning up Brandy Rhodes, his wife, phoning up the wives. Bit more controversial, I wouldn't recommend that one. So yeah, Cody discovered that Moose had Brandy's phone number, and he got intensely paranoid, and then booted him in the balls, hit him with the crossroads. And he's now fully heel in Impact Wrestling, which aligns nicely with his status over in Japan, where of course he's a member of the villainous Bullet Club for Life faction. Let's stay in Impact Wrestling for our second piece of news from elsewhere, because there was a wedding angle that it's kind of rare, but it's kind of always beloved when it comes along. That most rare and beloved of wrestling spectacles, the wedding angle. This time it was Braxton Sutter and Laurel Van Ness. I'm going to try and run through this because there's a lot of guys that you might not be too familiar with. Braxton Sutter, right? Babyface, shaven head, beard, kind of a badass, right? He is in love secretly with Ali, who is like Maria, you remember Maria Kanellis from WWE? She's now kind of the Stephanie McMahon of TNA, right? So he's in love with Ali, who's like Maria's downtrodden babyface assistant, if this is still making sense, right? So Braxton Sutter, no, you call him Byron Saxton there, Byron Saxton, Braxton Sutter isn't, let's be serious, is in love with Ali, but Maria is forcing him to marry Laurel, and there are loads of vignettes of him like going on a date with Laurel and just hating his life and down in wine to just forget about how boring well, not boring, she's kind of a loudmouth and kind of a snobby rich heel. Okay, right. So the wedding rolled around last night, and the babyfaces, you know, they won, they beat up all the bad guys and cleared the ring, and then they embraced in the ring and they had a lovely smooch. And then I learned that they're fucking married in real life. He called off his wedding to a heel to get with the babyface that he's already married to. Oh! And finally, this Sunday and Monday, we'll see that big annual cross-promotional show between New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor, Honor Rising. Why is this so notable this year? Simply put, it's Kenny Omega's return. It's his first in-ring appearance for New Japan since that unbelievable match at Wrestle Kingdom 11 versus Okada. Omega is in 2 matches, one on each night. The first, he's teaming up with Adam Cole, Bebe, against the Briscoes, but it's the match on the second night that I'm most looking forward to. Yes, that match on the second night, it's faction versus faction warfare. It's going to be insane. It's Chaos versus Bullet Club, and I'll run down the members right now in that match. Over on the Chaos side, you've got Okada, Ospreay, and kind of the honorary guests, the Briscoe brothers. Over in Bullet Club side, you've got a very strong lineup, Omega, Cody Rhodes, and the Young Bucks. Yeah, that match could be something special. If they go all out, that could be really good. And finally, it's time for this week's takeaways. I'm gonna get meta with this one. This week's takeaway isn't to do with takeaway from the world of wrestling. It's to do with fast count, because Kenny did tell me earlier this week. He went, "Jack, what is a takeaway?" And I went, "Well, it's something you learn from the news that you haven't learned, you didn't know before. You can take that away with you forward into the weekend." And he went, "Yeah, but that's not what you do, is it?" And I was like, "Oh God, you're right. You're so right." So let me know what you think. If I should replace takeaways with something more concrete, what I should replace it with. I personally want to do a Wrestler of the Week, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks. So that's all from me on the Fast Count. I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. There's no editor to shout out this week. There's no one there. There's just nobody there. I mean, you know, it will be edited. I just don't know. I guess I'll see you all soon. I'm gonna have to turn the camera off myself. This is absolutely ludicrous. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
We're never going to stop doing magazines called wrestling. It's time for issue 4, the first magazine of 2017. And to celebrate, we're looking back on the wrestling year that was, including end-of-year awards for best and worst matches of 2016, best and worst wrestlers of 2016, best and worst feuds, and many more. Also, a gigantic career retrospective on AJ Styles, Dixie Carter's crimes against wrestling, and how WWE should have booked the road to WrestleMania 2016, written by this sexual Catherine Wheel. As ever, the magazine is available now to order at shop.whatculture.com. For the love of God, buy it.